Good morning, fellow philosophers. Welcome to another awesome marble meeting where I encourage you to stay sober and we talk about stoic philosophy. And it's aimed at people who are trying to get sober or who are sober and need encouragement not to relapse. So this morning I wanted to talk a little bit about how we become wise. And we spent the last few days talking about how things that are outside of us are neither good nor bad, even though they may seem to be good or bad. Like health, for example. It seems like that's the most important thing in the world, but in the end, it's out of our control. And anything that's not fully in our power is not something that we possess. And so it's outside our control. No matter how much we try to stay healthy, eventually the age gets to us. And it's not that we shouldn't value health, because what you can make of it is very important, which is living a long life, one where you can provide a lot of help to society and raise families and contribute to the good of the world. But we just can't get too attached to it so that when anything happens to us, we don't fall apart and look for something to take the edge off or to numb the pain, that kind of stuff. We're preventing relapse by detaching our emotions and our desires from things that are outside our power. Because that way, when these things that are outside our power, when the universe takes them away or someone else does, we're protected internally because we're not attached to that thing. So that's about externalities. But what is in your power is what's inside of you. No one can take that away. No one can steal that from you. No one can change that. Only you control what is inside of your mind, or as we call it in Stoicism, your sphere of choice. And for addicts, having that under control and putting all your attention into what's inside of you is the most vital part of getting sober and staying sober. And this is the stuff that between you and me, the other sobriety channels and programs, they don't really talk about enough. They just tell you to stop drinking or stop using because it's good for you and using is bad for you. But they don't really go into the details of how to stop. And the key is to focus on what's inside of you and not the things that are outside of you. Don't focus on your friends. Don't focus on your jobs. Don't focus even on your family. Now, you have to fulfill your role and your responsibilities to these people, and you should love your family, but you need to focus 100% on what's inside of you and your decisions and your choices and the things that are in your control. And the things that are in your control are your spirit, meaning your motivations in life and your attitudes about things. But it's also your thoughts. What are you thinking about right now? Hopefully you're thinking, this guy might be onto something. It sounds a little strange and unrealistic, but this is different. Let me give him some more time. And I promise you, by the end of the video, you'll definitely get something out of it. So your thoughts are also what's inside of you. No one can change your thoughts. And it's only your present thoughts. Because your past thoughts, those are no longer in your power anymore. Those already happened. It's only your present thoughts and what's presently inside of you that's truly yours. It's the only thing you really own in life, and that's fully in your power, is what's inside of you at this moment. But also your judgments about things. That's in your power. I'm at a red light now. My judgment about this red light is that I cannot go through this red light or I might get in trouble. I probably wouldn't hit anything because there's really nothing to hit in front of me, but it's the wrong thing to do. It's the law. That is a correct judgment. There are other people who might be judging red lights as, well, if there's no cops around, I can run through it. Who cares? There's no camera on this light. I'm just going to go through. That's their judgment. That's different from my judgment. Your judgments are in your control, and they're relative. They're related to addiction. That difference in a judgment can happen with smoking weed. I used to think that smoking weed was good for you. And the more you smoke, the better. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was deep in an addiction and I was a lunatic. Now, my judgment about weed is it's bad. Basically, it takes you away from existing in reality, in the current moment. It steals the moment from you. It numbs you for 2 hours, and you lose those 2 hours, which are so valuable in our lives, because life is so short and it goes by so quick. So why would you waste the time? Not to mention, just in general, there's a lot of other things I don't like about it, but I don't want to get into it right now. So these judgments are in my power, and I can change those judgments. And really, it's almost that I'm talking about opinions right now. The red light example was more of a judgment, but the marijuana, that's an opinion. What I'm talking about related to the cannabis. Because opinions are deeper than judgments. Your judgments are sort of like how you judge the situation or what it is in front of you at this exact moment. But if you reason through judgments and you think to yourself, well, am I making the right judgment right now? Is it really a good idea? Does it really matter if I run through this red light right now or not? And you think it through and you think, well, it's probably best that I'm a moral person and that I do what's good for society and I abide by laws, because otherwise society is going to just fall apart if we all do that. By reasoning through your judgments, then you form deeper opinions. Now, prior to judgments, there's something even more shallow, which is your impressions about things. The impression is like your initial reaction to something before you even start judging the thing. Because you really need to have some reasoning to even begin to judge. But your initial impression is that first gut reaction to something. And that's when somebody says, hey, I'm getting some beers. You want one? That is a moment when you're having an initial impression, and you could just go with your impulses and go, yeah, just go get me one. That's fine. And then later you start thinking, while he's or she's going to get that drink, you start thinking to yourself, hold on a second, is that the right move? Maybe I shouldn't be having this drink. Well, it's too late now. They're already getting me one, so I guess I have to have it. Oh boy, we'll see what happens. Now all of a sudden you're judging the situation. But that initial, like, yeah, just go get me one, that's your impression. That's what happens before judgment, before you have any reasoning going on inside of you. And it's just that first impulse. And people who aren't able to think, they live life off their impulses. It's all just their initial impressions. And our impressions are based on early childhood experiences and just very primitive parts of our life and our understandings of reality. Over time, as you reason more and you learn from life, you develop deeper opinions about things and you become wiser. And that wisdom affects our impressions, those initial impressions. So maybe when you're a teenager and somebody passes you a joint, you grab that thing and you hit that thing as hard as you can, and you try to bogart that thing so that you get as high as possible without the people around you saying, yo, man, save some for the rest of us. But then over time, as you develop experiences and wisdom throughout life, maybe you have children and you get married and a good job and you meet different people with different opinions. By the 20 years later, when somebody gives you a joint and says, hey, you want to hit this, your impulse and your impression is going to be, dude, keep that thing away from me. The last thing I need is to smoke some weed. I got a life here that I got to manage. I'm not trying to fall apart. I'm not saying people who smoke weed have their lives fall apart. I know a lot of productive people use weed. I'm just saying, as an example, that might be the impression someone has, a particular person, after a lifetime of experience and wisdom development. So the way that wisdom forms, just to go through the whole cycle, is our impressions are the initial reactions we have to life. We can act on those impressions based off our impulses if we don't think through it. But if we reason about these things that we're experiencing that are external to us, or even the things internal to us, then we can form judgments about those things. And we can make correct judgments, or we can have incorrect judgments. If they're incorrect judgments, it's going to lead you to behaviors that are incorrect and and bring you to the wrong places in life. But if they're correct judgments, then they're going to lead you to the right path, and you won't fall astray in addiction or overspending or gambling or whatever else, maybe saying something wrong to someone that's rude, etc. Over time, when we reason like this to form correct judgments, we develop opinions about things, and they're stronger opinions that replace old opinions. And that builds wisdom that over time changes our initial impressions about everything, so that our initial impulses to life are correct and they're settled inside of us through thinking and through experience. And in that way, we become better people who aren't affected and are protected from our bad impulses and from things like relapsing. That whole cycle of wisdom can only happen if you reason. And by reason, I mean think and analyze inside your mind and focus 100% on what's inside of you. Otherwise, if you're focused on the things that are external to you, the things the universe and other people can have control over and you can't, then you're always going to be tossed and pulled around and in chaos internally, because you have no control over those things. But if you reason and focus on what's inside of you, and you form this cycle of wisdom over time, you become a wise person who's protected from all the things outside of you, especially drugs and alcohol, because you formed wisdom about how much better it is to live a sober life and stay away from addictive substances. So when you build wisdom, you develop the defenses that protect you from relapses. Let me give you an example. I went to a party once. Wasn't a lot of people there, just a few of us. Everybody was drinking. The person's house that I went to, I didn't know this guy. He was a big, burly Romanian guy who liked to party. He didn't really know me. It was my first time meeting this guy. He's barbecuing in the back of his house, and I go there with him. and we're shooting this shit. And he says to me, "What kind of beer do you want?" And I told him, "I don't drink." And he looks at me and he goes, "Well, in this house, you have to drink. Otherwise, you got to get out of here." And I looked at him and I said, "I guess I got to get out of here then, because I don't drink." And he softened up. He folded right away. And he said to me, "All right, well, go grab a Coke. I think I got some sodas in the fridge." If I didn't have the strong defenses mentally to protect myself and the opinions that I formed over the years, knowing that I'm never going to break, that I'm enjoying my sober life, and I never want to go back to that life of drinking, using drugs, or smoking weed again, then when I was under pressure like that, I may have folded myself. Most people would. They would think, well, I guess there's nothing I can do. I gotta just have a drink this time because I'm being forced into it. No, if you do that, then your judgments are that you value being there more than you value living a sober life. For me, I didn't value being at that place for 1 second. Not at all, compared to what I value with my sobriety and my sober life. So when he saw me say that to him, he knew I wasn't going to break. I had no problem leaving if that's what I had to do. I only had those defenses in my head because of my ability to change my judgments through reasoning over time and developing the wisdom from the opinions over time, the wisdom that would never break me. So I want you to never break by developing similar opinions. Nothing is more valuable to you than your sobriety. Nothing. And when you're at a party or you're in a situation like that, you need to look internally the whole time. Forget about what anybody else is telling you or the pressure that they're putting on you. Forget about the peer pressure. Nothing can break you because internally, your inside mind has more peer pressure on you than anything else. It's not even close. Had I let myself break in that moment, I would have been very, very insecure about not having the willpower and the confidence to hold my own. Because nothing is worse than when you break internally. It doesn't matter if your house catches on fire. That's out of your control. So you're not a lesser person for that happening. But if you fold in a situation where there's some external pressure for you to use, now you have a reason to be discouraged about yourself. That is a sad situation. You have lessened yourself as a person. Never do that. Stay strong in sobriety forever. I'm going to keep today's video a little shorter because unfortunately my video stopped during the second half of it and I'm at work right now, so I'm just trying to kind of tie things together at the end. But I'll keep trying to post every day, and I know these videos are always going to be great because I had a real banger today before I realized I wasn't even recording, and I know there's going to be a lot more to come. So I want you all to have a wonderful day at work, just like I'm having a great day today, and treat everybody well, value your virtues, get rid of your vices, and stay strong, my fellow philosophers. I'll see you next time.